$50,000 housing handouts. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from The Age discussing a property council proposal to help the economy. By handing out $50,000 pretty much bailouts or handouts to home builders. Let's have a look at this, guys. Remember, government's never the solution, everyone. It is never the solution. What's happened to our housing? Let's just have a look. Look at housing prices. They've just skyrocketed up. Ever since we had the GST introduced, housing has shot up. Foreign investment has shot up. Housing is not affordable, not for the average person, not compared to how it was in the past. All these property geniuses and spookers and investment experts, everyone's an expert when everything's going up. Come on. Let's see how they perform now in a bit of a challenging environment. And what do you think $50,000 to every potential buyer, just a blank check handed to you that will go to every builder, what do you think will happen? Do you think that will create another bubble? Do you think future generations will have to pay for it? Just to avoid some corrections. Let's go through this. Buyers of freshly built homes would get a $50,000 check from the Morrison government under a $2.5 billion plan from the Property Council to kickstart the economy amid Reserve Bank warnings the housing sector faces an extended period of pain. Well, yes, we have a look. Well, that's the unemployment rate. That's skyrocketing. It's not actually what I wanted to have a look at. I wanted to bring up building approvals. You can see here, they're not doing particularly well, guys. They're not doing very well. They've been all over the place. Slightly ticked up, but we'll see how it goes, particularly apartment numbers. The council also wants the abolition of stamp duty, the broadening of the GST, and a welcome migration campaign aimed at luring foreigners to Australia. Well, so they're arguing for the same thing again. Why? If you're a migrant looking at other countries around the world. Now, my father, he immigrated to Australia. He picked Australia, the United States, Argentina, and South Africa. They were the 4 countries he applied to when he got out of East Germany into West Germany. Australia was the first one to take him. So he came to Australia. Why would you go to Australia these days? We had another colleague or viewer in the comments was mentioning how her husband had immigrated over here to do a postgraduate study, and all of a sudden his friends who were from the same country, or from another foreign country, were all talking about going back home. I've noticed the same things with people I've met. Foreigners coming over here, enticed to do a foreign degree, a postgraduate degree, very expensive, can't get work in their field of study. Or the quality of life is better back in other countries than it is here in Australia because cost of living is so high. The cost of housing for the average normal person is just insane. This is not going to help it. So they want to get rid of stamp duty, which, fantastic. I love it. I love the idea of doing that. But you know what will happen? They'll just put a land tax in. They'll find other ways to tax us. They want to increase the GST or broadening the GST. And they want to get more foreigners in because, well, that's all they know. Look at this data from the Foreign Investment Review Board. All the black line there shows the amount of housing approvals that were for foreign buyers. So on Wednesday, the group said without change, the real estate sector would weigh on the economy in the wake of the pandemic. Home builders have already reported contract cancellation rates of more than 30% since the shutdown of key parts of the economy to prevent the spread of the pandemic, while the construction sector, which employs more than 1.1 million people, has shed at least 5% of the workforce since March. Council Chief Kevin Morrison said bold policies would need to get the economy, expected to shrink by 10% in the June quarter, restarted, with the housing sector a key element of the recovery. So you want future generations to incur debt to avoid some tough times for the housing industry. Property isn't a bubble. Housing is, the housing industry, frankly, isn't doing very well. Houses are not affordable. Maybe they should look at ways of building it more affordable. Here's the thing. It's never mentioned, and I see this on LinkedIn all the time. I'm getting sick of LinkedIn. It's too many people just having an unrealistic view of things. But there's one gentleman, he was going on and on about how frustrated he was at the West Australian government not implementing these Section J requirements. Now, you've got the building code. And in the building code, there's Section J, and there's similar things for residential or for commercial building. And these are environmental performance requirements. Here in Queensland, you've got star ratings for houses and all that stuff. And when I was going through uni, it all sounded really good and interesting until you learn about embodied energy, until you learn about the payback time in putting all this insulation into a house. You know, it's all BS. It doesn't make any sense. Often the payback time is 50 years. So it's just an added cost to these properties. If people want to have these extra benefits on the houses, let them do it. But otherwise, if you remove that legislative requirement, you can give an opportunity for some people to enter the market with a cheaper product, with a more competitive product. As Australia's biggest employer, which contributes over 13% to GDP, the property industry can be a powerhouse behind economic recovery and growth with the right policy settings and market incentives from the federal, state and territory governments, he said. So this is one of the things I'm worried about, that they're just going to try and do the same old thing again. The same old thing again. Just try and get that property bubble going. All of the wealth of our civilization is being pushed into property, everyone. There's no manufacturing in Australia. Australia is not an advanced economy. Okay, we're pretty. I'm going to bring up a website here, the Observatory of Economic Complexity, and I know I show it often, but it's to just ram home how low our complexity is, what we're exporting, what we're importing. The disconnecting complexity of the items that we import to what we export shows that we are not an advanced economy. Not if we lost our trade capabilities. What would happen as an island nation, what would happen if all of our ports were blockaded? There's a question. So at the heart of the proposal is a $50,000 new boost for buyers of new housing, which the council estimates would stimulate the construction of 50,000 dwellings and support 200,000 jobs. Okay, it's just a bailout for builders that can't compete. That's what it is. That's what it is. It'll inflate the price of that sector. It'll increase the money supply directly into housing. It will dwarf the 21,000 in grants that were available to first home owners who bought new buildings during the GFC under the Rudd government stimulus program. The program would run for 12 months and be limited to 50,000 properties, while there would be no cap on the value of their home. The council is also calling for major tax changes to support the sector, including the removal of stamp duty and its replacement through a broadening of GST base. See, this is the thing. How about we try and reduce the scale of our government? How about we do that so more people have more of their own money in their hands and they can do with it what they want? And then they'll spend it. They'll spend it. Everyone's, you hear all the lefties going, oh, trickle-down economics doesn't work. It doesn't matter. The biggest monster in this civilization is the government just hoovering up everybody's dollars. Even the poorest people are losing money to the government every time they go shopping, every time they buy cigarettes, every time they drive their car, every time they go in a cab, every time they have a drink, a beer with mates. Taxes, 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 every bloody time. Only 4 large areas, including fresh food, education and health, are excluded from the GST. There you go. Put all of that in the GST, and why not just put another 5% on top of it while we're there? The Morrison government is expecting net migration numbers to collapse this financial year, and next due in large part to the restrictions on global border movements. But this is the thing. If Australia enters into a deep recession, if we're nothing but a proxy for China, do you think migrants are going to want to come to Australia? Sure, I mean, we've got fantastic weather. We've got a good country with little strife. Will it last? The council wants a welcome to Australia migration plan that would include a major advertising campaign to promote the country as a safe and healthy destination. It argues the current point system for skilled migration should be temporarily lowered and people encouraged to live in major capitals as well as regional centres. They want to lower the quality of immigrants that are coming to our civilization to boost up their sector. Yeah, it's property council, guys. I've been to property council events. They're very expensive. They're all flashy, and they support, you know, I think it was that white ribbon organization that's been found to be a bit of a joke. They were all over that, and all these let's just say a class of people that I think adversity is probably when the maid chipped on a piece of furniture, and that was the biggest struggle to some of them. Housing construction and the property sector is growing as an issue for the Reserve Bank, which noted in the minutes of its most recent meeting that a drop in employment, income and wealth will have a direct impact on general consumption spending. I think the bloody crash in consumer confidence is going to make a big difference. The minutes released on Tuesday show building companies are already reporting a drop in demand for new and established housing, while cash-strapped Australians are moving back in with their parents or shared housing. And we've seen that earlier today, just the flood of empty properties hitting the market, adults, children moving back home with their parents. Low incomes and confidence, as well as lower expected population growth, were expected to affect demand for new housing for an extended period, the minutes show. There are also concerns about the commercial property sector, where rents in major capitals are expected to fall, with many businesses having staff work from home rather than CBDs. Well, Shane's right. We're going to see that. We'll definitely see that, except for Canberra. Canberra's still a good property sector from their own property council's data. What do you think, guys? Do you think this is a good idea? Are you in the game? Are you in the housing game? Do you think this is a great idea? Or do you appreciate the fact that we're all going to pay for it one way or another? And what about extending GST? Or bringing in more migrants? Here's the thing. An advertising campaign to trick people to come into your country is dishonest. A demand for more skills flooding into your country because we've got projects, we've got infrastructure, we've got advanced industries that are calling upon people. That's different. This is just a Ponzi scheme. Well, I've lost a lot of respect for the Property Council over this. Maybe that's just my naivety getting chipped away one video at a time, everyone. Let me know what you think, guys. I understand where they're coming from, but I think it's a terrible idea. I really do. As always, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you'd like to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. You can share the videos, get the word out there. You can support us via YouTube, via joining on YouTube or Patreon. You can use our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. We have merch from HeiseSays, Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, and you can also support us via PayPal. I can't talk today. What's going on? Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time.